Day in, day out, for almost 700 days, Al Jazeera Arabic correspondent Anas al-Sharif put on his press jacket and got to work. He and his colleague, Mohamed Moawad, documented the death and destruction inflicted by Israel on Gaza. Through a short-lived ceasefire and as starvation took hold, al-Sharif was on air until Sunday, when the 28-year-old was killed in a targeted strike, along with Kreka and 3 of their Al Jazeera colleagues and a freelance reporter, in an attack which Israel has admitted to carrying out. As Israel keeps foreign reporters out and local reporters continue to be killed, who will tell the world the truth? Today, managing editor of Al Jazeera, Mohamed Moawad, on Israel's campaign to silence the messenger. Mohamed Moawad, thank you so much for speaking to Full Story, and my condolences on the targeted killing of your colleagues in Gaza.
Thanks, Nour, for having me. It's a great pleasure to be with you, and I wish it was in a different situation than this.
By now, people would have seen images of the funerals held for Anas al-Sharif and Mohamed Kreka, along with the other Al Jazeera crew members killed by Israeli forces. How are you and the team at Al Jazeera processing this news?
Well, I think mourning our colleagues has been the culture of the place, actually, if I may say. We've been through this before. It's like, I read before in one of the fiction stories from one of the anthropologists who wrote it, that sometimes when grief is continuous, it becomes the norm of the city or the society. So grief is really the norm of our newsroom. To be honest, this is unprecedented situation. We are people of headlines. We were not used to that. We used to defend the right of people to know. We used to, abide by some rules of ethical judgment and stuff like that to make sure that we are on the right path in journalism. But for us, and for a managing editor or for any manager at Al Jazeera right now, to try and make sure that the team is really going through this is a bit difficult. We're not used to that, and it's devastating. Anas's story is a tragedy by all means. We have been through this tragedy before with Shireen Abu Aqla, ثامر أبو دقة, حمزة الدحدوح, عائلة مؤمن الشرافي, the family of مؤمن الشرافي, and Ismail al-Ghul, who used to be shoulder to shoulder with Anas al-Sharif in Gaza City, reporting and uncovering the atrocities committed there. But this one, I think it's a bit difficult. The fact that you have a journalist who has been threatened continuously, and the IDF and the Israeli government has been bragging about killing him and targeting him, and for him to be killed in his tent. Usually they stage something like wait until he gets to the front line, until he is covering a story in a military zone, in a clashing zone, and then stage his killing by saying that was a collateral damage. This time they have done it intentionally, deliberately, as every time, of course, but this time they have done it with no bother to stage it. I mean, they have killed Anas al-Sharif in his tent and his colleagues, Mohamed Kreka and other parts of the team, and they've killed them in a cold blood, as if the canvas of the tent isn't enough to convince the Israeli government and the IDF that those journalists were trying to take some rest between tasks and try to be safe in a tent and they're not in the process of being in a front line or something like that.
Mohamed, in a statement released after his death, Anas al-Sharif said, "I have lived through pain in all of its details, tasted suffering and loss many times, yet I never once hesitated to convey the truth as it is without distortion and without falsification." You knew him personally. I was hoping you can talk to us a bit about Anas al-Sharif.
Anas al-Sharif is a talented journalist who was really, from first day, he was very committed to covering the story of Gaza. The circumstances in which we have hired Anas tells a lot about his story. Our team, our prominent and veteran journalists in Gaza, were evacuated according to our security measures. We were evacuated to the south at the beginning of the war when the military operation intensified in the north. And we lost coverage. We had no ears and eyes there, so we were looking for someone who can provide us as a freelance at the beginning of footage of what's happening, because the military operation was intensifying. And Anas al-Sharif stood as a brave journalist who, in less than a minute, would rush to the aftermath of the bombardment and get us devastating images from the front line and from the ground. And right after we air that, we receive a call from so many international outlets around the globe asking us for the rights to air Anas's footage. He was very brave, resilient. He didn't back down. He was, by the way, threatened. And I haven't said that before. He was threatened the first day he joined Al Jazeera, appeared on Al Jazeera screen. He received audio messages on his WhatsApp account from someone in Israel. I can't tell who exactly in Israel related to the authorities did that, but someone in Israel threatening him that if he is not backing down, if he doesn't stop covering from Al Jazeera, he will be targeted, his family will be targeted. And the intimidation and the attempts to deter him continued until the killing of his father, who was targeted by an Israeli airstrike. And they have tried several times to deter him from continuing the coverage. But he was committed to it. We haven't received a call from Anas al-Sharif asking us to evacuate to the south, even after the ceasefire, the brief ceasefire in which the south and the north, the movement between the south and north was opened. So I don't recall that Anas one day asked us to rest, but rather a week ago he had 5 hours of sleep, and when he woke up, he told us that he has received so many calls from people inside and outside Gaza through social media, through his phone, asking him, "Where are you, Anas? We are enduring starvation. We are facing an invasion looming in the north of Gaza. We need you. We need you to be on air. We need you to give voice to the voiceless and stay on air." And the case of Anas is like the case of anyone in North Gaza, to be honest. Anas endured everything they have endured. He endured starvation, fainted on air because of only eating one piece of date. One day he just couldn't continue the coverage because he was really, really hungry, and his family as well. He wasn't able to feed them, only one meal a day. So Anas's story is Gazan story. And that's exactly what he used to say, that those are my people. I'm not leaving Gaza. I'm enduring what they are enduring, and I will continue the coverage. And it's devastating and unimaginable that a journalist is not only being threatened, to be killed and targeted, but also enduring starvation while covering the story and reporting on what's going on in the ground.
Mm. You mentioned there the threats that he faced. The IDF has on numerous occasions accused him of being linked to Hamas without presenting credible evidence. Press freedom groups say that Israel is, quote, murdering the messengers, and Al Jazeera has called the allegations baseless and incitement. How much did he fear that this would be the outcome?
Well, I think he knew that this is that this day will come, and it's really I say that painfully. I mean, the fact that the only refuge for Anas to feel safe was on air, like to stay on screen. We have placed the pressure on Anas from day one to stay safe, and his safety is a priority, and not to endanger his life by any means. He was covering from nearby al-Shifa hospital. We have really placed massive pressure on him not to move around or go anywhere, because the threats intensified, in the last days of his life. And we knew that this is coming. I mean, but for someone to brag about killing him and then killing him that way was really unimaginable. I mean, he kept sending messages to people who asked about him hours before his killing. And he kept sending messages of really resilience. And he would say, I'm not leaving. I am here. I'm in my tent waiting for the next hit to go on air. And he was really about to go on air before his killing. Mohamed Moawad used to swap the DTL lives with him, and it was his turn next. And they have targeted him intentionally, deliberately, assassinated him in his tent with his crew and his colleague Mohamed Moawad, who was, by the way, no less as a journalist and a brave journalist. Both of them taught us the lesson, how to cover the news in times of war, how to cover your people's story. And I think this is something that we have to talk about, in the future, how a local journalist is enduring all this, smearing campaigns, starvation, threats, everything that you can imagine, and is still committed to covering the story. I don't think that the people of Gaza really expected that to happen by any means, even Anas himself. In our discussions and calls, he would suggest that this war is going to end, our life is going to come back, everything is going to be okay, I will visit you guys in Doha, I will see you soon. That's what you get from him as a spirit. And everyone in Gaza, actually, because they have lived that before. They have lived through wars. Even Anas himself appeared on one of Al Jazeera's reporting on the screen one day in 2008 in one of the Israeli wars on Gaza. So for him, in this young age, 28 years old, to endure this suffering and continue and not back down and face his fate like that, he knew this is going to happen. And I think it was his decision that I'm continuing this. I am defending the right for the world to know what's happening. I'm uncovering the atrocities. Silencing me means that my people is going to die in silence. And this is not going to happen. And that's why he continued. But this is a question that in my mind since the news broke of his killing. How a young man who's just joined an international media organization lived through this under the watch and before the eyes of the world. How we and others around the globe did not do anything for Anas. And that's really, I don't think that this happened in the modern history of journalism. The whole profession should pay the price of what's happened to Anas. News cycles will cover his story for briefly, and I think they will get over it, and you would see the narrative gets manipulated. Tomorrow they would investigate him as a Hamas asset, as they used to say now in Israel, and his story is gonna. I don't like to say it's gonna fade away from the news cycles around the globe, but I think that his death is a lesson for all of us, and we should keep talking about it until international journalists is allowed to enter Gaza to cover this story.
There is a lot in that I want to talk about. We know that Anas had been reporting on the mass starvation and the looming Israeli takeover of Gaza City, the full occupation of Gaza City. How will this affect the flow of information out of Gaza and to the rest of the world?
It is really affecting the flow of information because you know that Anas was a hero in the north of Gaza. I mean, you can easily get some footage out of North Gaza, where, by the way, as we speak, the bombardment intensifying. But you need someone to talk to the world about what's happening, to give the first-hand account, and to be the messenger there. And we don't have one. We lost Mohamed Moawad, Anas al-Sharif, and Ismail al-Ghul before them. So I think that was the goal. The contextualization of the events is crystal clear. You intimidate, you target, you kill, and then you invade, just to make sure that the coverage is silenced and whoever broadcasting from there is not there anymore. So I think the timing was telling that the Israeli government and the IDF wanted the coverage to be silenced from inside north of Gaza before the looming invasion, or before the operation that they are calling now clearly invasion. So that tells a lot about the fact that the Israeli government claimed the assassination of Anas al-Sharif right after killing him.
As you say, Israel did claim the killing. It boasted about his killing online. The IDF posted to X a post with an emoticon of a bullseye. For people who've seen that or other spurious claims or unsubstantiated claims being circulated online, what would you say to them?
Well, I would say to them that Anas al-Sharif, I would say to them that Anas al-Sharif is a local journalist in Gaza, who his family and his people were under attack. He chose to be the messenger. He was 24 hours on Al Jazeera screen reporting on what's going on. He, if you look up his name, you would find him on the front page of New York Times. His work is corroborated by so many organizations around the globe. And he has been on air for 24 hours a day. I'm not exaggerating. And Anas is a young man who graduated from mass communication department in the Al-Aqsa University in Gaza, who chose to be a journalist from the beginning. And he worked as a freelancer for several news organizations before joining Al Jazeera. And the dedication of Anas, the way in which he lost his life for the sake of covering the story and uncovering the atrocities and make sure to give voice to the voiceless, would encourage everyone to be cautious against any smear campaign unleashed by the Israeli government. He doesn't deserve that. You judge a man by his life, and his life was in the field, telling the human side of the story, near his people. He did not back down. He didn't get out of Gaza. He didn't ask to go out of Gaza. He was at the last breath reporting on what's going on. He's a young man, and I don't think there is a major cultural difference here in this argument that if anyone in Gaza is related to Hamas or any other organization, he would say so. And this is not something that you would cover or something like that. The people of Gaza are usually proud of joining these organizations. And Anas al-Sharif chose to be a journalist from day one. And we know him as a journalist. We knew him as a journalist. We will continue to know him as a journalist. And anyone who has unsubstantial claims or unfounded allegations should stop defaming a journalist who lost his life for the sake of this profession.
Some journalism unions have called for the protection of Palestinian journalists, but there has been a near-deafening silence amongst many Western journalists over the last 21 months. What is your message to them?
My message is a message that we have been talking about before, that came in one of our statements weeks before the killing of Anas and Mohamed Moawad. We have called upon the international journalistic community to place pressure on the Israeli government to allow international journalists to enter Gaza. That was very crucial and important because it was easy for the Israeli government to defame and degrade and smear local Palestinian journalists. And it was easy for them to say that they are biased. But if you have international journalists on the ground, it means that there is a bigger exposure. There is an amplified message around the globe. You will get a first-hand account of what's going on. And instead of claiming that Anas belongs to Hamas or other organization in Gaza, you could have one of your journalists go there, investigate, and come up with a story if you want. But the fact that no international journalist has entered Gaza until today, and the fact that the Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu is, admitting it on air 2 days ago by saying that I have directed my team to allow them to enter Gaza 2 days back. It means that he has never allowed an international journalist to enter Gaza is telling. I mean, previously I have covered the Arab Spring in 5 Arab nations. I was a roving reporter in the Middle East. I have seen Christian Amanpour hours after hours after the Egyptian revolution broke. And I have seen Anderson Cooper there. I have seen so many prominent journalists arrive in the Middle East right after Arab Spring's movement broke. So now it seems like no one is interested in covering what's happening in Gaza. It is really shocking that you have many journalists in Syria covering Syria now, international journalists covering Syria more than Gaza. While Gaza is a much bigger conflict and has a much bigger implication regionally, and the devastating toll of civilians is really one of the most important aspects of any story that a journalist would aspire to cover.
As you noted earlier, more than 200 Palestinian journalists have been killed in the last 2 years. Indeed, before that, as you mentioned, Shireen Abu Akleh was killed by the IDF, and there's been no accountability. What hope do you have for accountability? What should accountability look like?
Well, I think accountability is, the most difficult question right now because it is clear from what's happening that accountability will come. Of course, this is something that everyone believes in, and this is going to happen today or tomorrow. Maybe it takes time, maybe it takes years, maybe it takes months, maybe it takes a bit longer, but it will happen. I mean, this is something that we believe in, that we will work on generations after generations in this organization, Al Jazeera. We will leave and people will come and go after who killed our people, who killed our colleagues. And this is a very important matter for us. And we pay attention to that, and we pursue all legal actions to make sure that accountability is happening sooner than later. But to be honest, the fact that the Prime Minister of Netanyahu is asked to be tried by the International Criminal Court, and he completely ignored the warrant, and the United States supported his position, doesn't tell much about any hope, to have accountability happening soon. So, but anyway, that we will pursue all legal actions. We have done this with Shireen Abu Akleh and other colleagues who we lost after her, and we will continue to do that until this organization does not exist.
The UN Secretary General has called for an independent and international investigation into the killing of journalists in Gaza. What kind of investigation do you envisage? What would you like to see?
Well, we like to see an independent investigation in these killings. What we have now is the Israeli government kill the messenger, kill a journalist, kill a civilian, and then come up with a statement that has the verdict. So you are the killer, and you are the one who come up with the verdict. So what we need is an independent investigation, and we believe that the United Nations bodies will not give up doing so, and we are in contact with them. And this is one of the legal paths that we are, pursuing, and we will continue to communicate with them all the information, all the evidence that we have. And this is very important, and it's a long process, we expect. But as I told you, we're not giving up.
Mohamed Moawad, thank you so much for your time. And again, our condolences on the killing of your colleagues.
Thank you so much, Nour, for your invitation. And I wish you good luck in your reporting, and thanks for the attention to the story.